Well, as everybody filters in, we'll go ahead and get started. If this is your first time as a guest of Office Hours, well, welcome to the show. We're sorry that we had a little bit of a technical crash there. Again, it's never happened before. I do apologize, but I give you guys all the credit. You probably all jumped on right at 6:30, like a good audience would, and somehow, some way, we crashed the feed. So we had to get it up and running, kind of start a refresher, and here we are. So as you can see, Office Hours, we're in my office. And it's duly titled because the show and the whole theme here is to give me an opportunity to share really the topic of the day, questions that are coming up, and it's my way to be able to add value and to reach out to you and to give you as much learning opportunity as I possibly can. And there's nothing better, even when it crashes, than the internet to be able to reach as many people as possible. So I really appreciate you tuning in, because tonight's episode is chock full of knowledge that you guys can use, whether you're in real estate school, whether you're considering real estate as a career, whether you just got out of school, you just passed your exam, or even if you're somebody that's looking to kind of restart your career and you want to get refreshed. I got a lot of really good stuff for you and a lot of advice I can't wait to share. So the title of tonight's episode is What to Do in Your First 30 Days in Real Estate. And the reason that I wanted to come out with an episode about what to do in your first 30 days is I think that everybody can identify, especially as a real estate agent, you guys watching, if you're in school or if you guys are just passing your test or you just got your license, one of the biggest issues that happens is, well, now what do I do? Because you go to real estate school, you study hard, you take your class, you do all the stuff you're supposed to do, and then you go pass your exam. And for a lot of us, look, I know you have to study really hard. It's not the easiest test in the world. So you get through that part of the process, and then, okay, I got my license. I'm ready to go. My phone's not ringing. How do I get listings? What do I do? Where do I go? That's a common question that comes up. And so really what I wanted to help give you is an action plan that you can put into place with real steps for your first 30 days, some things that you need to know, should know, that you can start working on immediately. If you're watching and you didn't see, since we crashed the stream, I'm going to keep making sure that I look over and all of the people that are checking in on us, that they can find the updated feed, and everybody is good to go. So when it comes to starting your career in real estate, you guys want to understand that it's a sales business. It's a different type of business. And you guys want to understand that if you've never worked both for yourself before, or if you've never worked in sales before, it's a totally different animal. But I can help you hit the ground running and really understand what you need to do in order to succeed in the real estate business. Because at the end of the day, it's really not rocket science. It's really about having a plan and working your plan. Because what happens is, so many people, they say, well, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. And then they never really get started. And so I would hate for you guys, especially as somebody that spends so much time training new real estate agents, I would hate for you to work really hard and make it through the exam and then feel like you never really got the start in the industry that you wanted. Now, I'm talking to those that really want to succeed, of course, because I'm here to tell you, there's not necessarily going to be that fast, easy money like the public thinks in real estate. It's going to take some work. It's going to take some time. It's going to take some patience. So what I've got here for you is at least a 5-step plan of 5 things you need to do in your first 30 days as a real estate agent if you want to make it. And so please take out pen and paper, pull out your laptop, however you take notes, and take notes, because I'm giving you real stuff that you can put into place right away. This is actionable advice on what to do as a new real estate agent, or somebody that just wants to restart their career, your first 30 days. The first thing that you're going to want to do as soon as you get your real estate license is you need to work on your mindset, and what I call, you need to get your mind right. And what I mean by that is, you've got to understand that it's a certain set of skills, but also personality traits that successful real estate agents share. And you want to know what those are, know what those are, and start to cultivate those skills right away. Because I'm going to tell you, your attitude, your mindset, your drive is going to matter as much, if not more, than if I gave you like, here's the magic 3 steps, do this, this, and this, and you're going to make $1 million. Well, obviously, we would all be very successful if it was that simple. So you got to understand that when you first start in the business, you have got to get your mindset right. I call it, it's all about your attitude. And what you need to understand is attitude and how you approach the business, how you treat yourself, how you are ultimately entering into your new career in real estate matters more than anything. And so what I'm going to talk about, for instance, is that if you're a new agent, so we're talking about your business plan for your first 30 days. So it's your first 30 days. You're new. And I'm going to tell you, it doesn't matter. So one of the things I want you to understand is get the type of phrasing out of your system now. I don't know what I'm doing because I'm new. I'm too new. This other agent knows more than me. I don't deserve this listing because I'm really just too new. At what point are you going to decide, okay, I'm not new anymore? Because if you keep telling yourself, I'm new, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm new, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm new, I don't know what I'm doing. The problem is at some point, that's going to become a self-fulfilling prophecy. And so what I want you guys to understand is part of getting your mind right is having the confidence and believing from day one that you can succeed and that you are capable of serving your client as their real estate agent. Because what I want you guys to understand is don't assume that these other agents in the marketplace know more than you. Don't assume that you don't have enough information to be able to serve your client. You can kind of fake it till you make it at first, but your mindset is key, and you've got to have the confidence to understand that you can do this. Because think about your license exam. Those of you that haven't taken it or those that just recently taken it, what happens if you go into the testing center and you're going, I'm going to fail, 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 I'm going to fail? What are you going to do? You're going to fail. Because you convinced yourself you were going to fail. So it becomes a self-fulfilling fulfilling prophecy. You are going to make yourself fail that exam. And it's the type of thing that I want you guys to understand, that what you believe about yourself is what you become. So here's a couple of steps to understand that you have got to get your mind right, because you work for yourself now. You're in sales now. If you don't believe in you, how is anybody else going to believe in you? How am I going to hire you to represent me if you don't even believe that you can do it? So you got to start from day one. I can do this. You've got to have the mindset. I deserve success. I belong in this industry, and that I can do this. So what I want you to understand is, if you're new, this is your first 30 days, it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to not know what to do. It's okay if you mess up. But the idea of trying to avoid messing up or making mistakes by just hiding from it, what you guys need to understand is you'll never get anywhere. Everybody makes mistakes. Everybody screws up. So don't have this mindset like, I'm new, so I'm going to make mistakes and I'm going to screw up. It's okay. What you do is you learn. So you either win in a particular situation, like you get the listing, or you learn from it. You never lose. You either win or you learn. So it's okay to be new. Everybody has to have the first listing appointment. You got to have the first contract negotiation. You got to have the first client that tells you to get lost. You got to have the first deal that you thought you had and it falls apart. Your first commission check, your first $1 million, whatever it is, everybody's got to have your first one. So don't worry about it. You got to start somewhere. So make sure you get your mindset right and understand it's okay to be new, and ask your broker, ask your trainer, ask your coach. If you don't know what to do, let them help you out. It's also important that you start to remember that you are a real estate professional. You have a real estate license. You respect yourself, and others will respect you too. And so what I want you guys to understand is you've really got to start working on your daily self-talk. How you talk to yourself is going to really matter in how you're going to work in this business. So I strongly suggest that you begin the practice of daily affirmations. Write down on a piece of paper, pen and a pad, write down like, I am an awesome real estate agent. I can do this. I'm going to make money in real estate. And you write it down and you tell it to yourself. You repeat it. I can do this. Every morning, first thing in the morning, go in the mirror, right? Lock the door. Nobody can hear you. Read your affirmation out loud because you are going to believe it the more you say it. And so your self-talk is big. I mean, how many times do you see somebody make a mistake and they say something like, I'm an idiot? No, you're not an idiot. You made a mistake. You're a human being. So start monitoring your attitude and your self-talk. It's really going to matter because real estate is sales. You're going to get told no more than you're going to get told yes. You can't let that kind of stuff bother you, right? If I send out a marketing piece to 1,000 people and only 5 people call me, but it's 5 lock solid clients, that's not necessarily a failure. So I wouldn't focus on the 995 people that didn't respond to my mail. I'm talking about the 5 that did. So really concentrate on how you talk to yourself. I also want you to understand that you need to remember, we'll talk about this in step 2, but you need to remember why you get into real estate, why you're here. What is it that you want out of the real estate business? And then avoid like crazy something that my grandfather called the cold water committee. The cold water committee is one of my favorite lessons he ever taught. And it's something that I want to share with you because no matter what you're doing in life, okay, there's cold water committee. Look, if enough people view our videos on YouTube, there's going to be the one guy that's like, well, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. I'm not going to worry about him. I'm going to worry about all of the people that benefit and that love and that email and tweet us and tell us about what they learned. So the cold water committee is always going to be there. For instance, think about families, think about friends, think about groups of people. If somebody starts to succeed, isn't it easy for the others to try to tear them down? Guys, that's human nature. That's the cold water committee. Hey, I want to make $1 million in real estate. And then, you know, Aunt May is going to say, oh, Chris, you can't do that. You know, it sounds really good, but, you know, you should really set your goals somewhere reasonable. I'm not listening. I'm walking out the room from Aunt May because she's throwing cold water on my goals, my dreams, what I'm trying to accomplish. So you need to understand that there's always going to be haters. There's always going to be cold water. There's going to be people. It's easier to try to tear you down rather than to build themselves up. It's a weird human nature thing. Avoid them like crazy. You're a new real estate agent. You don't need their negativity. So other agents in the office, like this new agent, Chris, I mean, have you seen what he's doing? This YouTube video, I mean, he crashed the internet and nobody could find him for a minute. He doesn't know what he's doing. Yeah, I'm not worried about what they're saying. I'll close the door and I'm going to do it my way, right? So it's okay to be new. Get your mind right. Understand that this business is not supposed to be easy, but the first 30, 60, 90 days are the hardest part. It gets better. You got to remember, this is new. Don't expect to be an overnight success. It might take a little bit of time. And then finally, I want you to commit to your goals. And so actually, step number 2. So number 1 was get your mindset right, your self-talk. Believe in yourself. It's okay to be new. You got to have the confidence. Number 2, you've got to set defined goals. Because if you don't set defined goals, what exactly is it that you're chasing every day? For instance, if I am training to go and I want to run in the Olympics, well, I should have a very defined goal, like I want to win the 100-meter dash, not I just want to go run. Who's more likely to be successful? The guy that says, I'm going to win and I'm going to run this time, or the guy that says, I'm just going to go run? You guys have got to understand there's a lot of tweets and stuff coming through, which is awesome. So I'm making sure that everybody's got the stuff. For the new link, since we crashed it, I want you guys to understand that you've got to have a defined objective. So This is all about discovering your why. Everybody here, whoever watches this, you got into real estate for a reason. Remember that every day. It's because you need to make more money. That's okay. The one thing that people don't seem to openly admit is that, look, I need real estate and I'm getting into this business because I want more earning potential. You can say it. That's okay. This is a safe space. There's nothing wrong with, you've got bills to pay. If you have children, you have mouths to feed. So if you set a defined objective that says, I'm going to sell 12 houses this year, just one a month, very modest goal, but now it's staring you in the face. And so everything that you do this year is going to be building towards 12 houses, 12 houses, 12 houses, 12 houses. And you'll be amazed how much that matters relative to, I just want to sell some houses. It's really hard to just sell some houses. You got to have a defined goal. Talk to a top agent. They'll tell you, my goal is to do this. It's either to be the top agent, it's to gross this much in commission. I want to beat Susie across the hall because she beat me for the top award last year. Ask a top agent. They've got a goal. Because what a goal is a dream with a time limit. So what you're doing is you're saying, I've always wanted to make $100,000 a year. Now I'm saying I have to do it this year. I better put a business plan into action. If you don't have goals, it's really just a dream, or it's very difficult as somebody that's running your own business in real estate to just get up every day and say, well, I hope my phone rings today. Or man, it'd be really cool if I just sold a house. It's going to be hard for you to reach the success that you may want. And the reason is because you've got to have a defined goal. So take pen to paper and write down how much money you want to make this year or how many houses you want to sell. It's okay. Nobody has to know, right? I'm not going to show you mine. Okay. You look at that and everything you do. I cannot build you a real estate business plan. I cannot help you succeed unless you have a defined target. Because without a target, it's very difficult to make it in sales, right? Any sales business anywhere. You ever seen, everybody's always got sales competitions. You know why? Because people need to be driven by a goal. You got to have a number. What is it? So you need to decide, what is the why? Why did I get into real estate? How much money do I want or need to make? That's the ultimate end game here, okay? So what I want you to understand is it's okay for that to be monetary. It's okay. You've got bills to pay. So if you're going to be a full-time real estate agent and you're leaving a job where you made a defined salary, well, at least you got to replace that, right? Write it down. Because then you could start to build your plan. How many houses do I have to sell to at least make that? So step number 2 in your first 30 days is you have got to establish clear goals. So 1, get your mind right. Get the attitude of a successful real estate agent. Number 2, get your defined goals on paper. So we're talking about your professional goals because that's going to drive you day after day. Why did I get into real estate? That's incredibly important. Okay? It's incredibly important. So hopefully everybody that was there before was able to find us. I'm so sorry that our link crashed there. So again, I'm just spreading this out. If you like what the first 2 steps, if you saw something in there you can use, please make sure to reach out and let me know. Hit me up on Twitter, #office-hours. Hit us up on Facebook, #office-hours. If you've got questions or curiosities, a specific question that you'd like to ask, that's the fun. We're going to do a live Q&A once we get through the initial segment. Email your question, officehours@donaldsoneducation.com. Love to hear from you. There's nothing like being able to give you the value you deserve by answering questions, burning questions that you have. All right, so let's move on to step number 3. In your first 30 days as a real estate agent, you need to begin every day and operate like a startup business. In other words, acquire the business mindset. It's important that you understand that now that you believe in yourself, and now you've got a goal and how much money you want to make or how many houses you want to sell. The third step is, well, I'm a business. Let's say that again. I'm a business. Don't most of you get into real estate for a lot of different reasons, but some of them are, hey, I don't want to work for anybody anymore. I don't want to clock in and clock out. I want to have the freedom to operate the way I want. Well, that sounds like a business owner to me. That sounds like an entrepreneur to me. So step number 3 is you need to begin to understand what it means to run a business, because you're a business. What's awesome about real estate is there's no ceiling to how much money you can make in any given year. I mean, there just isn't. There's no cap. Like, you can make as much money as you'll go out there and earn. But technically there is a basement, isn't there? If I don't do anything, it's going to be hard for me to make money. So as an entrepreneur myself, you understand, if you've ever run a business before, you already know the mindset. I get paid last. All the bills get paid. All of our employees get paid. All of our vendors get paid. Every single bit of that gets paid before me. And if and only if there's money left over, then I get paid. That's the business mindset. I know I get paid last. I've got to produce to make sure there's money left over after paying expenses. So what you want to understand is, as a business owner now, you're a real estate agent. You need to establish the idea that every single day you have a routine, a schedule, and you need to get into the routine of what a business owner that owns a real estate business is going to do every single day. So now, don't say, oh, good, I got into real estate so I don't have to work anymore. No, work like crazy your first 30 days. Set up a schedule where you're working 5 days a week. And then the important thing is, what is my routine going to look like? Okay, you say work, Chris. What do I do? And so what you want to understand as a business owner is the important lesson is, and I cannot stress this enough, is that you need to learn the difference between being busy for the sake of being busy and being productive. Because at some point you may reach the point in your career where you're almost on autopilot to a degree, where you're not going to have to work crazy hours because you've got a system in place and productivity at an all-time high to where you won't have to work like that. But you're a startup business. Your first 30 days, work as hard as you possibly can. Every waking hour that you have available for real estate, work on it. And then when you're working, do things that are productive, not things that are keeping you busy. So as an example, guys, in real estate, productive things are reaching out, searching for new business, prospecting, farming, marketing, finding new clients. That's actions that are productive. Being busy is sitting around clicking through emails, shuffling around a bunch of paperwork, filing stuff away. Look, you can do that all day long. You were busy as heck and you got nothing done. So the business owner's mindset is, every day I got to produce so I can get paid. So every day you need to have a routine. I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do this for a certain number of hours. It's incredibly important that you understand that if you have the business owner's mindset, it's going to drive everything else that you do. So if you want to understand the business of real estate, write this down. This is like good stuff. If you want to know what real estate is, it's really this simple. It's 3 things. Real estate's all about prospecting, presenting, and closing. It's really that simple. So if you want to be productive, you better be prospecting, you better be presenting, or you better be closing, or else you're just being busy. So prospecting is the hard part. That's the part you got to really work on as a new agent. And we're going to talk about that in the next step. But if you're not prospecting for new business, that means you're presenting. So you're showing houses to somebody that may buy, or you're sitting at a listing presentation with a seller that may hire you. And then closing is getting transactions signed, getting your listing agreements signed, getting purchase agreements signed, closing. Those are the 3 things you should be doing. If you're not doing something related to prospecting, presenting, or closing, you're just being busy. You're not being productive. And business owners understand the importance of making sure they're productive. Because, guys, in my company alone, in a training organization, look, you guys know, some of you that are watching this are our students. Do you have any idea how many emails and phone calls and messages we get in this office every day? I love my staff. I couldn't live without them. They are the best. They are so amazing. Any of you guys that love our staff, let me know on Twitter. Let me know on Facebook. They're amazing. And what I want you guys to know is if I did just sit there, I could just answer emails all day long. But at some point, we're going to have no more customers to answer because I'm not doing the things that are productive to bring in new business. So as a business owner, you need to understand it's about being productive. You got to have the business owner mindset. So I would wake up in the morning and go, man, I just started a new business. All the pressure and the fear that comes with that is good. It's natural. Pretend you have investors. If you don't get this business going, you're going to have investors knocking on your door wondering, when am I getting my money back? You're a startup business. Operate that way every single day. All right, so that's steps 1, 2, and 3. Hopefully you like what we've got so far. You can see I get fired up when I talk about this stuff because most of all, I want to see you guys succeed, man. That's what really matters to me. Our business grows when your business grows. The industry grows when your business grows. I get my pleasure and I get my enjoyment out of watching people grow and succeed and reach whatever success levels that they want. Look, I've been a full-time real estate agent. I've sold millions in real estate. I loved the business and I still have clients that I work with. But what really gets me up in the morning, my why, is helping share with you how you can build your real estate business. Step 4. All right, we got the first 3 steps. Hopefully you're writing these down because this is good stuff. I may even rip this down from YouTube. So if you weren't watching it live, your competition can't watch it later. If you like that idea, let me know and maybe we'll talk about that. So I'm looking over here. Thanks so much, guys. I see a bunch of Twitter conversations coming in. That is awesome. If you have a question, a compliment, curiosity, please, please, please make sure to let us know on Twitter, Facebook, or shoot an email to officehours@donaldsoneducation.com. I love hearing from you guys. You are what this show is all about. You is what matters to me. And so we're trying to give you as much value as we possibly can. Notice there's no commercials here. I'm not selling you anything here. This is a free show where we're giving back to you, the real estate community. All right. So I'm looking over here. A lot of tweets. That's awesome. Crystal, thanks. Dean, thanks. Love it. Man, you guys are awesome. I got questions rolling in. Warren, thanks. So if you heard your name, you're up. If you got questions, it's a great time. All right. So let's get into a little bit more meat because you got to have the right attitude. You got to have goals. You got to operate like a startup. That's the first 3 steps. If you don't do those things, nothing else matters. Because if I tell you, go do this every day, here's your business plan, if your mindset's wrong, it's not going to matter. Or if you don't operate like a business and set up a work schedule for yourself and force yourself to get out there and work, none of that's going to matter. But let's get to step 4, which is one of the most important. Your first 30 days in real estate, you have got to build your database. In other words, you've got to collect as many people and start actively collecting people. Your database is your lifeblood. Your database are the people that you're going to market to, that you're going to prospect to, that you're going to reach out to, that you're going to provide value to, and that over time you're going to hopefully cultivate relationships with. So starting now, if you're a new real estate agent, like now, you start collecting the contact information, names, cell phone numbers, email address, mailing address, every freaking person you can think of. The bigger your database, the more successful you'll be. And so what I want you guys to understand is what you want to understand about real estate is it's the most personal business in the world. So where are you going to start? People that know you best. Your friends, your family, the people that know you best. You want to get to work immediately on making sure that they know that you're a real estate pro, you mean business, and you want their business. Because there's no worse feeling in the world than you just got your real estate license, you just passed your test, and your best friend sells their house with some other agent. And usually it's because they didn't know you had your license. It's not because you're new. More often than not, the reason that you won't get family business, friends business, influencers business, people that you know, like people on your child's softball team or whatever the case may be, is because they did not know what you did for a living. How would they know? You got to tell them. You cannot be afraid to let everybody in the world know what you do for a living. Collect a database. Get to work on that immediately. Talk to your broker and see what sort of database collection software, customer management software they might have. If they don't have anything they recommend, or they give you different ideas, there's lots of CRMs out there. There's even some that are free that you can integrate into Gmail. So if you're a startup and you got no money, start with the free. And then when you build your empire, then start paying for more advanced CRMs. I mean, that's a subject for another day, but a customer relationship management system, in other words, a database management system, is the lifeblood of any sales professional. You guys have seen this in action, right? Have you ever gone to a website and bought something, and then all of a sudden, for the next 6 years, on a regular basis, you get an email from that company, even though you only bought that one thing 6 years ago? You're in their CRM, and they're going to keep reaching out to you. And what you need to understand is you've got to stay at the forefront, because real estate's unique. Everybody's not buying a house today. Everybody's not selling their house today. But when they do, I need to be at the front of their mind. The only way I can be at the front of their mind is if I'm constantly reaching out. And the only way you can reach out is by building your database. So you need to start that now. Let me show you how important this is and how personal relationships matter. Okay? Remember, real estate's a numbers game. Sales is a numbers game. The more people you reach out to, the more people you talk to about real estate, the more clients you're going to have. So if, let's just say my conversion ratio is 40-1. For every 40 people I reach out to, 1 turns into a client. So if I wanted to sell 10 houses, how many people do I need in my database? I need 400, right? If I want to sell 100, I need 4,000. And so the number just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And that's what a database is all about. Because guys, what people will tell you is the reason they pick a real estate agent is because they're somebody they know. It's a personal friend. They were referred from somebody. So in your first 30 days, your goal is just to get that first client. You can build an empire in 1 client. Check out these stats. You want to know where people find their real estate agents? In the 2015 profile of home buyers and sellers from NAR, 73% of sellers used an agent that was referred to them by a friend or family, or was an agent they'd worked with before. 61% of buyers work with an agent that a friend or a family member referred to them. So if you really want to know what to do in your first 30 days, like, here is the money takeaway, is that you need to immediately get to work on your friends and family and get them to understand and take you seriously as a real estate professional. Your friends and family alone can help you build your business, because your friend may not want to buy or sell a house right now, but they may have a friend that does. And your friend that knows you're in real estate will refer you to their friend. Aunt May, even though she's on the cold water committee, she may have a friend of hers that she plays bridge with that said she was selling her house, and she gives her nephew's business card. You're off and running. So in your first 30 days, your goal is to build your database, get it in an organized system, and then really start working, reaching out to friends and family and making sure they know that you're a real estate professional. Get them to take you seriously. Trust me on this. The fact that you're new does not matter as much as the fact that they don't know what you do. I can't hire you if you don't ever tell me you got a real estate license. So your name is now Jane Realtor or Jane Real Estate Broker. So me, when I was highly active in pursuing new business, Chris Donaldson, Realtor. Like automatic clockwork. Not because I'm shoving it in your face, because I just want to make sure you know what I do for a living. Believe me, that matters. So start building your database. As many people as you can get in there as possible. Because We're going to talk about marketing plan. We're going to talk about prospecting plans. We're going to talk about physically what you need to do. But until you start building your database, I mean, what if you have the most beautiful marketing piece ever made for real estate? Like, you are the greatest graphic design artist ever. Well, if you don't have a database, who are you going to send it to? Like, who's going to read this thing? So building your database in your first 30 days, getting as many people. For instance, guys, if you've got, there's software out there. If you've got a scanner, I mean, if you've got a stack of business cards from all the people that you've, collected over the years, run them through a scanner, get them into a program. Each one of those is a potential client. Okay. So I want you guys to understand that referrals and personal relationships is what real estate's all about. Start with your friends and family, and then build your database. Then later, if enough of you are watching the show, and if enough of you are enjoying the show, I'll really break down where you can get more leads and more prospects and more clients. But I got to start you at the beginning. Everybody wants to jump to step 8, but you got to start systematically at step 1, which is really these 5 keys to do in your first 30 days, right? All right, so that was step number 4. Build your database and begin to influence your sphere, your friends, your family. Make sure that you are reaching out and that they know what you do. Step 5 in your first 30 days is to learn as much as you can about real estate. This is going to sound strange coming from a real estate school owner. I'm the president and CEO of Gulf South's largest real estate school, and I'm going to tell you, real estate school doesn't prepare you for the business part of real estate. It's not supposed to. It's preparing you for the exam, but it's building the foundation that you can now build on, right? I use the example in class a lot. I got to teach you what a purchase agreement is and contract law principles. You got to understand the basics, the foundation, before I can teach you how to negotiate one, right? So 101 has its purpose. It's a very important step in the process. Guys, that's not the end of the learning. So what I highly encourage you to do is to seek as much training and knowledge as you can. Take every class your broker offers. Find every class you can. Schools like ours, of course, have tons of training. That's not a sales pitch. It's just true, where we can teach you all the stuff you want to know. So seek out training. Now, yeah, you got your minimum requirements. In Louisiana and other states, you got your post-licensing. You've got your continuing ed. But I'm here to tell you, I mean, guys, that is not like the bar. And if you get your 12 hours of CE or however many your state requires, don't say, yep, I know what I need to know this year. Seek out as much training, as much knowledge as you can. Don't even worry if it carries regulatory approval. Because I'm going to tell you something. The stuff you really need to know is not going to be approved for CE credit. The true sales tips that are going to make you money, you're not going to get CE hours. Does it really matter if every class you take gets CE credits? And look, I'm a continuing education school. That's an important part of the process. But that is not the end all of your learning. So in your first 30 days, go take every class you can. Go to your realtor board, take every class they got. Learn as much as you can. Knowledge is power. If you build your skill set, you will win. What you want to understand is most people don't succeed in most industries because they don't care enough to learn. They don't care enough to train. They don't take the extra classes. So I'm here to tell you, once you get out of real estate school, you just started the learning process. The learning just begins. So train yourself like crazy. Guys, I'll be honest. Even this show, technical difficulties and all, is giving you more bang for your buck because it's free, more information, more practical knowledge than you might find in 30 hours of CE classes, depending on where they are. That's a battle that I always fight. I try to get as much practical stuff into your hands that does carry CE credit, but I'm telling you, don't worry about that. Go take classes that are going to teach you what you need to know to run, to build, and to succeed in your real estate business. Training is everything. I'll give you a great example. One of the ways you train yourself is not just classes, reading books. The average American reads 1 book a year. The average CEO reads 20 books a year. Let's look at the math on that. So if they're reading 20 books and I'm reading one, maybe that's part of the reason they're the CEO and I'm me, is because they know more than I do, because they learn about what I need to know. Knowledge is power. It's a cliche because it's true. So in your first 30 days, your first 60 days, your first year, seek out as much training as you can. Take as many classes, learn as much as you can. Knowledge is power. And so remember, there's two individual skill sets you really want to focus on. One's the real estate skill set, things like negotiating contracts and conducting CMAs and that kind of stuff. That's important. But then it's sales and business skills. Seek out as much of that as you can. Learn about it. It really matters. And what you'll find is you'll hear a lot of things that I tell you, these other courses and trainers, whatever it is, if it's a reputable course, they're going to tell you the same thing. They're going to tell you what I'm telling you. And so I want you guys to understand the importance of the knowledge, the learning, the skills. It's just beginning. Okay? All right, guys. Well, that's the top 5 steps. These are the 5 steps. And I want to make sure that, first of all, hopefully you're getting something out of this. If you learned something in your first 30 days, if something I gave you here is something that you can use, please let us know. Send us an email, tweet, Facebook, let us know. I know there's probably tons of people that got lost in the technical shuffle, and I feel so bad. So fortunately, as soon as this show's over, we'll be able to upload it onto YouTube. I'm going to go ahead and send out and make sure that everybody that wants to reach out is ready, is available, is good. We got lots of questions rolling in, so bear with me. I don't have an assistant. I am me. This is office hours. It's just me and you and my office. So let's see. Q&A part is about to start. You guys are awesome, by the way. Those of you that are hanging in there, I appreciate it. I mean, I am so upset about technical problems. They just drive me crazy because we test. And you know what? It's just like being a new agent. Like I'm going to let that stop me, right? Like I'm going to cancel the show or whatever the case may be. We will make it through. So now I want to get into the Q&A session. I want to get into the questions and answers. One of the unique things about this program is we've got live Q&A where you can bring me your real estate questions about anything from test prep to a concept that you're learning to something in your post-licensing, something you heard in a CE class, tips, strategies, details from this plan, whatever it is, guys, bring your questions. Now's your chance. Bring them. I've got a list of questions here I'm going to get to, but in the meantime, make sure that you bring your questions. I would love to hear from you. I'd love to answer them. All right, so a few questions that have come in. And one thing that obviously we didn't have time to get into, because in your first 30 days, you got a lot to do. And what I didn't really dive into yet is the details of the business plan, like things like your website and how it's going to look, or what about Facebook and what about social media? What about this and that and the other? There's only so much we can do in the first segment, the opening segment of a show like this. But if you stay tuned and you subscribe to my YouTube channel and you keep in touch, I think you're going to find the answers of the questions that you crave. So a few things that we have out there. A few questions from a friend Dean here, who's really into the digital world. He's the man. He gives me a lot of tips and strategies. We kick it around. And he asked a couple of questions that I think are really good. I got to kind of pick which one because, Dean, if you're watching, you asked a lot of questions. He fired off about 4 or 5. And so what I want you guys to understand is that when it comes to starting a new business, you got to think about how are people going to find you? And so having an online presence is no longer like a good idea. It's an absolute necessity. So Dean asked a couple of questions like, how important is a website for a real estate agent? Let's answer that simply. What kind of business are you if you don't have a website? I'm just going to let that one marinate for a second. Because if I start a business, what's the first place people are going to go to try to find anything? Google. And if you don't have a website, how exactly are they going to find you? So to answer Dean's question, to keep it simple, I think a website is hugely important. It's the hub of everything that you do in the digital space. You should be working like crazy in a detailed manner to drive traffic to your website. But what you want to understand is don't get locked up, especially if you're brand new, into, well, which website should I choose and how should it look and what functions and all of that, because websites can be changed. You can continue to improve upon them, but just having a site is better than having no presence at all. Ask your brokers, see if they have custom-made sites that you can jump on and get yourself a website. At least you'll have a presence before you can decide if you want to go off and make your own site. But if you're wondering, think about you. I always say this, when you're thinking about reaching out to the consumer, think about what works on you. Think about what you do. How do you market to the consumer? Well, I market to the consumer based on what works for me. So what do I do when I want to find a business? I go look online. I look on Yelp. I look on Facebook. I look for recommendations on Twitter. So if there's no web presence there for that business, it could be a wonderful business. I'm not going to find them. So a website is hugely important. So an exercise that I love everybody to play, if you're a new real estate agent, play this exercise. And that is go on Google and Google yourself. Don't be scared. Do it. Because number one, if there's something out there that you're scared to see, you want to be the one that finds it. And you want to be the one that can control that, delete it, find it. If there's something negative out there, active, proactive approach. Don't let it just sit out there. And then number two, if I'm Googling myself, looking for myself, and I can't find myself, and I'm a business, I've got a problem. Because if I can't find me, the consumer can't find me. So yeah, a website, a digital presence is huge. And I'll piggyback. Dean starts talking about Facebook ads and other things. Hang on to that, Dean. We'll talk about that in another episode. But I will tell you this, if you're a real estate agent. Facebook is like the internet for social media. And it is now a hub. It's a hugely important hub. So actually, where 10 years ago we'd say, man, agent, you got to have a website. Now I'm telling you, you got to have a website and you have to have a Facebook business page. If you don't have those two things, it's going to be hard for people to find you. And then it's going to be hard for you to market your properties, etc. Think about Facebook. Anybody watching this on YouTube has a Facebook account, for sure. Think about how often you look on Facebook. Most people go on there at least once a day. Facebook's usually mobile, right? It's in your pocket. More people check Facebook through mobile than on desktops on the average day. So what you want to understand is, guys, you got to have a Facebook business page. A Facebook account is a great start. You're going to leverage that. But a business page, because a business page is where you can operate as a business. You can advertise. Because technically, I know people do it, but technically, if you put up a listing and you sell it, you market it to the Facebook community on your personal page, it's a violation of Facebook standards. It's got to be on your business page. Remember, step number 3, your first 30 days, you are a business. So website is huge. Facebook business page is huge. So Dean, thanks for your questions, man. That was awesome. Really good. I know he'd love for me to dive deeper and deeper and deeper into that, but we're in our first 30 days here. Let's just make sure we have a web presence, and then we'll move on from there. So another great question comes in from Crystal, and she asks, what's the best way to find an agency to work at once you get your license and you don't know any brokers? Yeah, Crystal, that's a great question. And if any brokers are out there watching, you're going to like my answer because it's the most honest, fair answer in the world. And then a big ad comes across for such and such real estate company, and you go, well, Chris sold out. Now, what I want you to understand is this. There are so many great real estate companies out there. And real estate companies have different models on how they're built. There are national companies that are franchised locally. There are local companies that build big local company brands. And there are small shops, there are big shops, there are branches. And so, Crystal, the answer I would give to you is, first of all, you need to decide what's important to you in a broker. And then what I would do is search out brokers that you're familiar with, or companies that you've heard of, or maybe somebody told you to go check out this company. Call them up, tell them you just got your real estate license or you're in real estate school. You'd like to come in and talk about joining the firm. They'll take your meeting. They'll set an appointment. Because the way brokers work and the way most of them make money is by having sales staff that's producing income. So the more sales staff that a brokerage company has that's making money, the more the broker will make, or the better the broker will do. So I'm not going to tell you one type of broker is better than the other or one model is better than the other. That's a very personal decision. There's a lot of great companies out there with great models that are very successful. So what it starts is with you deciding what's important to you. So what do you want out of your relationship with a broker? And then when you sit down for that interview, what I want you to understand is make sure you ask the question. Make sure that you ask the brokerage about what's important to you, whatever that may be. And then try to interview with more than one if you're unsure. Eventually, you'll find the company that's right for you. Because at the end of the day, there are lots of companies out there. You will find the right fit. And sometimes after you pick a broker, you'll really be able to figure out what's important. But at the end of the day, remember, you're the business. The broker can support you and help you in a lot of different ways, depending on the broker's model. But remember, you're the business. At the end of the day, you are going to determine whether you succeed or fail. It's all up to you. So I hope that answered your question, Crystal. I hope that helps you, because that's the honest answer. I can't tell you exactly which broker or what to do. And the reason is because you got to understand, I don't know what's important to you, so I can't tell you. Go to the XYZ firm. Anybody out there looking for advertising, now's the time. Just kidding. All right, another question rolls in from email, and this is a good one. Those of you that are studying for the exam or even new agents, this is a good question. It comes from Warren. It's K Warren. So I don't know. K might be the first name. I apologize if you're watching. That's all you gave me. But the question's about dual agency. Good question. And it is, if I, as an agent, want to purchase a property, can they represent themselves and the seller? Is that legal in Louisiana? So we're going to talk specifically about Louisiana. That's a really good question. It's an interesting case. So if you have a real estate license, remember, if you represent both the seller and the buyer in the same transaction, you're a dual agent. It's legal so long as you disclosed it and both the seller and the buyer know and are clear that you are the agent for both of them. In this case, the question is, I'm one of the principals. So I'm the buyer. Can I represent myself as the buyer, but also, in other words, be the listing agent? Here's the question that you really have asked. Can I buy my own listing? And what you want to understand about that is the answer is yes, but you've got disclosures to make. You've got to disclose to your seller what your true intention is by buying the property and make sure that they know you're the buyer. And you'd want to make sure their broker is aware of what your true intentions are. Because let's talk about something that could cause a problem. What if you have the property listed, you realize that it's worth a lot more money, you buy it at a discount, turn around and flip it? Could it be argued that you messed over your own client for your own benefit? Sure. So actually the question that you're asking is a good one, but it's very uncommon. It's really not something that you would do in a lot of cases, is buy your own listing. And if you did buy your own listing, you typically wouldn't really want to operate as an agent representing yourself and representing the seller. But legally, I want to make myself clear, you can do it. It requires disclosure. And you would want to make sure that your seller knows you are the buyer and why you are buying it, so that they don't think that you took advantage of them. Remember, you're in a fiduciary position over your seller. So it's important to understand when it comes to dual agency, always got to disclose, always got to be fair to both sides. When you are one of the parties, it's technically not dual agency in Louisiana, because you can't be an agent over yourself and also be dual. But what I want you to understand is also that if you're ever a principal in a transaction, that's got to be disclosed. So because you're the buyer, they got to know you're the buyer. So that's a really interesting question. And I know it's kind of a long-winded answer because it's got a lot of layers to it. But at the end of the day, yes, you can. Yes, you could represent the seller. Just make sure everything is disclosed. They know you're the principal, and they know what the purpose of you buying the property is. Because again, I'm just using the example. If you turned right around and flipped it for profit within 30 days without touching it. In other words, the seller sold it to you at a discount and then you made a profit by reselling it, that could cause you a problem because the seller may go, well, wait a minute, Chris just took advantage of me. So it's important to consider. Always make sure you disclose, use your disclosures, make sure that your clients or your customers are aware of your intentions and what you're doing. Okay? All right. So we got more questions. I appreciate you guys hanging in there. We're right almost at the end of the show. We like to keep it right at an hour. So we're a little over 7:30 because, of course, we had the technical difficulties. But I want to make sure I get to everybody's questions. And the thing I want everybody to take away, if anything else from what we've said today, is if you're a new agent and this is your first 30 days in the business, I want to remind you that you can do this. You've got to have the confidence. So to wrap it all up in a bow, check it out. I'm going super teacher on you here. Here's your bullet points. Hopefully you can see that and read that. But here's what you do in your first 30 days as a review. First, get your mindset right. You got to understand that having a business plan is important, but your attitude is really important. How you treat yourself and how you treat other people. If you have a great business plan, but you're just a mean person, it's going to be hard for you to succeed. Step 2, set defined goals. Remember, you got to figure out your why and then go. Write it down. I want to make X number of dollars this year. I want to sell X number of houses. Set defined goals. However big they are, just put them on paper. Because now a goal is a dream with a deadline. All right. Step number 3, remember, you've got to begin to act like you're a startup business. You just started a business. You got into real estate. You just started a business. So you need to have a daily business routine where you have got to have the gumption to get up and do what it takes today. Nobody's going to make you get up. That's the advantage of working for yourself, but it's also the disadvantage. Nobody's going to make you get up. Your boss isn't going to call you and wonder why you're at work. So what I want you guys to understand is you need to make sure that you have a routine. And when you're working, do the productive things first. Learn the difference between being busy and being productive in real estate. Hopefully guys can see this. All right. Step number 4, build your database and get that into an organized method like a CRM. So in your first 30 days, the best thing you can do is collect everybody you've ever known possible and put them in your database, because prospecting, presenting, and closing starts with prospecting. Who are you going to prospect to unless you build a database? Okay? And then step number 5 is learn as much as you can. There we go. Learn as much as you can. So I want you guys to understand knowledge is power, man. What you know matters. How do people become experts? Because they know more than you. And how do they know more than you? They learn. How do they learn? They study. They read. How does somebody become an expert at anything? Well, experience is part of it, but reading, studying, learning. So in your first 30 days in real estate, learn everything you possibly can. And remember, your regulatory requirements are important. Get your post-licensing done. Get your continuing education done. Don't stop there. The more you learn, the more you educate yourself, the more you invest in yourself, the better off you're going to be in this business. All right. So guys, that concludes episode 3 of Office Hours. I'm so glad. I'm so thankful that you guys joined us. Again, one more time, sorry for the technical difficulties. I know there's some of you guys that meant to watch that didn't get a chance to. If you're enjoying this, the one thing that I would encourage you to do is subscribe to my YouTube channel. Make sure that you subscribe so every time a new video comes out, more hints, tips, strategies, you'll be the first to know. Also, you can keep up with me on social media. I'd love to hear from you. You can find me on Twitter at Chris Talks Daily. You can find me on Instagram at Chris Talks Daily. And you can find me on Snapchat at Chris Talks. So I'd love to hear from you. If you enjoyed the show, please let me know. And going forward, next week, we've got an all-new live show for you Hopefully we won't crash the internet this time. And I can't wait to show you what I've got in store for the next episode of Office Hours. Have a great evening and best of luck in this new thing called real estate.